Please welcome Henry Kapono.
Hello, everybody. Before you get started, we have something for you.
Yeah.
Something from the islands.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you. That's so nice.
All right. Got laid in L.A.
Yeah, how many times have you used that line?
I know.
Well,
We've all used it.
First of all, I have to tell you that it's very rare that, I walk out and I say, either hello or aloha, and I get this remarkable sort of collective response. So, obviously these people are well prepared for your visit here.
They're all from the islands.
So you're here in California. We were talking upstairs. You're going to go out and do a couple of gigs around Southern California while you're here. And I'm wondering, is the audience reaction different for you here on the mainland than you find in Hawaii?
Yeah, it's different, but it's all good,
Uh-huh.
It's like a lot of the people from here who came from the islands, they miss home. So I get to bring home to them.
Yeah.
And it makes them feel good. It makes me feel good. And at home, I'm just so I just so appreciate the fact that I can be at home and play for my friends there.
Sure.
And a lot of people from all over the world come to Hawaii now.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to instead of touring, I get to stay in Hawaii and
The world comes to you.
me. Yeah.
That's
It works
a great
better
deal.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great.
But then I got to come and visit everybody and say,
Well, and I know these folks enjoy, having you stop by. You started singing, in a choral group at church. Am I right about that?
I did when I was about 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Sang in the when you sing in the choir, nobody can really hear you. You sound like one voice. So it was easy to sing like that.
Yeah.
When
What was attractive about singing in a choral group when you were young?
Well, I just had to sing it. My parents wanted me to be in the choir, so.
Got it. Well, you've talked about your dad. Speaking of your parents, your dad coming home after work and playing songs on a ukulele.
Yeah, my dad would I couldn't believe he'd come home from work and tired still, but he'd play some ukulele and I'd listen to him play, and then he'd teach me a little bit. And but the really great part about it was he used to take us down to Waikiki,
Yeah.
and we'd walk on the beach, and we'd meet all the Beach Boys, and the Beach Boys would be playing music, and he'd be joining them, and it was really a treat for me. I didn't realize that until I got older, and then I realized, well, I had a great experience, that not very many people get to have.
Do you remember what songs would you hear your father play?
He played a lot of Hawaiian traditional Hawaiian stuff, songs, and he had a great voice. But right off the top of my head,
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
think of what song that would be.
When did you transition from ukulele to playing guitar?
Well, I didn't really play a whole lot of ukulele, but once I played the guitar, I knew that was my instrument. And so
How old were you at that point? Do you remember?
I was, I think, about 14
Uh-huh.
or 15. I went on a church camp, and they have the little fire. You go around the fireplace
Campfire.
and sing. Campfire, yeah. And this friend of mine was playing the guitar, and I was listening to it and going, wow, that sounds so beautiful, And he looked at me and goes, here, try it. And I go, well, I don't know how to play that. So he showed me one chord, a D chord, and I played it, and it sounded really cool, and I went, that's it.
I'm done. This is good for me.
I knew I was going to keep playing. So.
I'm wondering. So you said you were 14 or so. About the time you started playing guitar. What were you hearing? Artists on the radio. Was there music going on that was inspiring you at that point?
Well, in the house we had mostly all Hawaiian music, and then I started listening to. I heard Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles and all that, and then I really
that'll do it at that
that was
point.
my music.
Yeah,
That was my calling,
yeah. I'm wondering how. Were you already thinking about sort of mixing the two the Beatles and Hendrix and the things you were hearing with this traditional Hawaiian music that was around?
I've done some of that where I've mixed the Hawaiian music into it, but I think then I did not too long ago I did a whole Hawaiian album.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people would say, "Oh, you're Hawaiian. How come you're not doing a Hawaiian album?" So I've always been into contemporary music,
Right.
And so I thought about it for a long time, and then one year I said, "Well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it the way I want to do it." And I know I don't know the language that well. I didn't grow up learning the language. I think when I was growing up, the language was not allowed. You weren't allowed to speak the language in school or anywhere. You couldn't give your child a Hawaiian first name. So there was a lot of restrictions to that. So I didn't really learn Hawaiian.
Yeah.
So that's probably why I didn't really pick it up. And so. So
Yeah. Well, certainly. I mean, your music was part of what was called the Hawaiian Renaissance.
Renaissance,
Yeah. But before we get to that, you were also quite an athlete.
I was going to be a football player.
Yeah. Believe me,
Thank God I'm not though.
Yeah. Maybe you and I had the same experience because when I was in junior high school, I was convinced I was going to be a football player until I realized one very important thing: football hurt, and playing that did not.
No, it feels good.
Yeah. And the girls it was all the same, so it was good.
Well, I think that's what happened to me is I got hurt.
Oh, you did?
In my senior year, so I couldn't play my senior year.
Yeah.
And then went to college and I got hurt again. So I figured, well, I guess I just kept playing music.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I can do this music thing. Tell me a little bit about particularly as you were getting out of college, a little bit about the music scene in Hawaii at that time, because you've said it was very inspiring.
It was. There was a lot of music. I mean, to me it was like Bourbon Street. You'd walk down Waikiki, Kalakaua, and everywhere you went, there was music coming out of the clubs and great music, So I used to go down to International Marketplace, or I used to take that whole walk on Kalakaua.
Yeah.
And they had Iva Kinimaka, you had the Surfers, you had Don Ho, and then you had all these groups from the mainland that were coming in. So I got to experience a lot of that, and it really got me excited.
Yeah. Do you remember any specific groups from the mainland that would come over that you saw?
There was a group called Poverty Train, and they played at the Lemon Tree. There was a group called Los Blues, great band. I mean, both of those bands were great. And then of course they had the Checkmates that came over, and some of those more popular groups.
Right. Tell me a little bit about because at that time already you're going out to start to play gigs. Your earliest gigs. Where were you playing? What was the repertoire you were playing?
I was playing all cover tunes. I started off in Waikiki. I used to play at for my friends in the living room, and they were enjoying it, and one of my friends says, "Why don't you go get a job?" I go, he said, "You sound good. You should go to Waikiki and play." And I go, "Really?" So I went and I did this audition, and I got the gig. And but I used to just sit there on the stool, and I'd have my eyes closed the whole night.
Huh. Yeah.
And I'd sing. And then one night I opened my eyes and I saw people there. I went, whoa, something's happening.
So you were totally doing covers at that point. When did you start writing songs?
I really started when Cecilia and I got together.
Yeah.
Cecilia was a songwriter, and he would throw out a song, and I go, wow, I can do that. So I started writing, and I think the synergy between he and I, and the things that we were doing, and the lifestyle that we had, and the lifestyle around us, kind of fed us all these songs.
Yeah.
And we had this thing going, this synergy going, and it was fun. I love songwriting.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be a writer. I know when I went to school, so say hi to my Punahou alumni over here.
Yeah, I think we got a few of them here.
But when I went to school, I never thought I'd be a writer. I never thought I'd be anything but a football player.
So you mentioned, obviously Cecilia Rodriguez, your
Right.
partner for many years. How did you guys meet? Because he's from here.
He's from here. He was playing with I think Little Richard and the Imperials or something. And,
Little Anthony.
Little
Anthony.
Little
Yeah.
Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine, I went to the Far East for about a year and a half. I was gonna go for a 6-week tour that would get me back in time to play football. I ended up being there for 2 years. We got stuck there, and so I think that was my schooling in music, because all I could do was just play music every day, every hour. I just kept playing. So by the time I came back, I was pretty good at what I was doing. I understood more about it. But and then Cecilia and I, a friend of ours, Johnny Sara, he came up to me and says, "Hey, this is this guy Cecilia?" I go, "Man, I heard him in a band called Unicorn. They played at the Red Noodle." You guys would know the Red Noodle.
I love the names. This is
And it was a great band. And I said, "Yeah, I've heard of him." And he says, he plays the group Poverty Train. I said, "Oh, really? What happened to Charlie, the guitar player?" He says, "Oh, he's not there anymore." So he said, "I think you guys would sound good together." So I said, "Really?" I said, "Well, I'd love to meet him. I think he's a great player, and I'd seen the band." So we went out to dinner out in Sunset Beach on the North Shore, and had these people that were looking to, I guess, invest in a group, and we had dinner. There's about maybe 10 of us. We sat around, and that's the first day he came in town, and we ate, had a good dinner, and then we sat down, and we started playing. And the first song we played was 4 and 20, and we looked at each other and went, "Oh, cool." Then we played another song, and we looked at each other and started laughing, And then we played a third song. And we said, "When are we going to play again?" And that was it.
that was it.
That was
just
it.
kind of
Yeah.
instant
Yeah.
chemistry.
I want to talk more about Cecilia and Kapono, but I want to back up just for a second, because you mentioned the time you spent in the Far East, and that was mostly in Vietnam.
That was mostly in Vietnam.
Yeah.
I was there to play music.
Right. But you've talked about that time as being perhaps one of the most transformative in your life.
It was. I didn't know why I was there. I just got out of the draft with a 4F because I had bad knees from football. Thank you. But then I found myself 6 months later in Vietnam playing for the troops, and I went, "Wow,
Yeah.
Thank you." Yeah, and I learned a lot about life, the value of life, and learned a lot about people. As a civilian in a war zone, in the beginning we were frightened and afraid, because all you hear was guns going off and incoming and outgoing, And then after a while, you just go, well, if I knew I was going to go home. I didn't know when, but I knew I'd get home. So I went through the whole tour. We toured all the way up and down Vietnam, playing for the troops. And then we went. I mean, there's so many stories about I wouldn't have come home if I was in that situation.
Yeah.
But I did make it home. When I got off the plane, I remember getting on the plane and flying off and going, wow, I'm going home.
Yeah. I actually read a great quote of yours about that experience. And you said, I knew what freedom was all about and knew how precious life is, and that I have the choice to celebrate every day.
Yeah.
That's a profound. I mean, how old were you at the time?
I was like 19.
That's quite a life lesson.
It was a big life lesson. I think it was my lesson. I think I didn't know why I was there, but when I got out, I realized that I was supposed to be there, and I learned everything I needed to know about myself, about music, about life, and I really grew up fast. So.
How much of that experience changed you as a musician?
Oh, I became a musician.
Yeah.
I became more of an artist at that time. I understood what I was doing and why I was doing it, and how fortunate I was to be able to have this gift. And I realized that one day we were sitting out in the under this camp, this military camp, and I was sitting around with some musicians from Australia, and this great keyboard player. I'm going to, when I get home, I'm going to go to college and learn music. And he looked at me. He goes, "Why are you going to do that?" I go, "Well, why not?" He goes, "A lot of people would love to do what you do right now. I mean, you just do it naturally. So, I'd advise you not to go to school." I thought about it and said, well, okay.
I can go do that.
That saves me.
When you met Cecilia and you guys started to play together, did you have to kind of, because he was from California, did you have to educate him a little bit on Hawaiian music, Hawaiian culture?
No, because he used to come back and forth to the islands with his band, with Unicorn. So he knew a lot of the same people that I knew, and he knew all the guys that he knew were friends of mine.
Yeah.
So they initiated him really fast.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the partnership and the songwriting in particular, when you guys were writing songs together, was it he was bringing the music, you were writing the lyrics? Were you guys doing things together? What was the kind of the division of labor?
Yeah, we really never wrote together. We wrote our own songs, but what we did together was arrange the songs, and we had a certain style of how we did things, and it worked.
Yeah.
Weren't together all the time, so whenever you get inspired, inspiration comes at the weirdest times, and sometimes when you try to write a song with someone, doesn't always come.
Yeah.
Sometimes I spent a lot of hours trying to write one song, and then it never comes. And then I realized one day, I said, maybe I should just not push myself so much into writing it. Maybe just start it, and then when I get stuck, go surfing.
Let it go. Yeah.
And then so I did that. I started doing this other things that I could be doing other than sitting around trying to beat myself against on my head trying to write a song, and it worked. I get away from it, and I go, maybe I'll be out into surfing, and I go, oh, now I got it.
Yeah.
So I get back in, and I finish the song.
There are many artists. There's one particular great quote of a great rock and roll artist who was asked how he created or came up with these such memorable riffs, in the songs that he wrote, and his reply was, I don't so much create them as I receive them.
Yeah.
It,
I always tell people, always ask me that, and I said, well, it comes from a place beyond myself.
Hmm.
You know, I'm just here to receive it, and you know, when it comes, I have to get it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I wrote a song in like 4:00 in the morning. You know, the song woke me up, and I go, oh, I was so tired, but I had to get it.
Yeah.
So I woke up. We were all in one motel room, and so the only place I could go was in the bathroom. Yeah. So I wrote the song "Friends."
Oh. Nice. Do you happen to remember your first gig together with Cecilia?
I do. We played out in North Shore at the place, a festival called the Sea Spree,
Uh-huh.
and we opened for this one group, and a year later the group opened for us.
Well, I mean, really, that's part of the remarkable story of your partnership with Cecilia, the incredibly rapid
It was.
rise you had.
It was. When we first got together, we played at a place called the Rainbow Villa. Anybody remember Rainbow Villa? All right. You guys are old.
Now, where is
But that's good, though.
for those of us who may not be quite as familiar? Where was the Rainbow Villa?
That was on Kalakaua Boulevard.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, if you haven't been there, a lot of you have missed a really cool time. We played there the first 3 months. There's nobody there but the waiter and the bartender. And then we opened for Frank Zappa.
Oh. I already love this.
Yeah. So we did our 15 minutes, and we were walking off, and people were cheering, and we just, you know, we figured we're done.
Yeah.
Frank comes out and says, "Hey, where you guys going?" And he says, "Well, we just finished this." He says, "Get back there. Those guys want you back." And we went, "Whoa, this guy's cool."
Yeah. Yeah.
So we
To say
went
the
back
least.
and we played, and then we went back to the club. Like, first 3 months, there was nobody there. Before we got back to the club, there was a line around the block, and we were going, "Whoa, we got fired." They got another band. Good way to get us away from the place. But then we were walking in, and people were pointing at us and going, "Wow, those are the guys." And we looked at each other, going, "Wow, what's going on?" And we walked in, and our chairs were still there, but there were people in there. And it was packed. And it was like that for, I think, 8 months. There was lines around the block till 1 o'clock in the morning. I can't believe, because we played like 6 days a week, and people would come every night.
Every night.
You know?
Wow.
And then our manager said, "Well, you guys got to go to the mainland and see what we can do there."
And sure enough, you did, and none other than Columbia Records comes
Yeah.
calling.
We played up in San Francisco at a place called Ironworks. And we had the hardest time because nobody knew us, and people were saying, "Oh, can you guys turn your music down because we can't hear us talking?" Well, about 3 weeks later, people were coming in and going, "Hey, could you guys keep the talking down so we can listen to music?" So that all turned around.
Yeah.
And then we got an offer to play at the Troubadour, and it was one of those nights where all the record companies go down to see these acts, and I think Bruce Springsteen was there.
Jeez.
Rick Springfield was
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Roger McQuinn was there.
Uh-huh.
So there's a lot of guys that were just breaking out, you know, and all the record companies were there. And we were done. We did like 10 or 15 minutes. We were done. Next day we got a bunch of offers, and then Columbia was the one we went with.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that worked out pretty well. If I understand correctly, that was the first deal for a Hawaiian group with Columbia.
It was, yeah.
Given that label's history, that's a remarkable statement.
It was, and the thing was, because we're from Hawaii, you know, they didn't know how to promote us because people was so used to hearing slack key and Hawaiian music, you know, and we didn't do that. We did contemporary music, so they had a tough time trying to figure out these two long-haired guys, brown skin, and you know, what do we do with them? Or so we toured, you know, and tried to find our little places but what really helped was you guys is a lot of kids were going to college from Hawaii, and they would bring their friends, and all of a sudden we had all these places to play and people that came to watch us, and so it was a great experience. You know.
Did you feel in some way, even though you were playing contemporary music, that you were kind of blazing a trail for Hawaiian music, Hawaiian culture?
Yeah, I didn't feel like it, but I realized it.
Yeah.
You know, after a while, and it pretty much opened the door for other artists.
Yeah.
You know?
Because you guys were very much the kind of the leading edge of this whole Hawaiian Renaissance. And there were a number of artists that...
There was a lot of artists, a lot of great artists, and they were all my friends, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, before I got together with Cecilia, I would be playing with them out in Waimanalo, and we'd get together and just play music together.
Sunday Manoa, there was,
Sunday Manoa, Olomana, Kalapana.
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, Kalapana was the next group after us.
Yeah.
And the guys that were investing in us, they wanted to get another group, one that they could more or less have for themselves, because we were just off.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went out with them to go find the guys. So we went to all these different clubs, and I said, that guy and that guy, and went to another club and that guy, and
You were
another
like the
club
scout.
and that guy, and then I said, I think those guys would work, you know, and then put them together with Kalapana.
Huh. So you were like an A&R guy.
I guess basically,
in effect.
you know.
So when you guys were putting out your first record for Columbia, how'd you choose the repertoire? How did you and Cecilia ultimately decide on the songs? Did you have a producer that you were working
We
with?
did, and Michael Stewart was our first producer.
Uh-huh.
He just got to recording, what's his name? God, really nobody. Oh, Billy Joel.
That'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do.
And so, what was real cool was, I was listening to this album which I really liked, called The Section.
Yeah, a bunch of L.A. studio dudes. Danny
Right.
Korchmar and Russ
Right.
Kunkel,
Craig Durkee.
Craig Gerge.
Yeah.
Right. Lee Sklar.
Lee Sklar,
Yes, thank you very
yeah.
much. Yes.
Lee Sklar. So when we got in the studio the first day, I said, "Now, who's going to be the musicians?" And they said, "Well, Lee Sklar, Russ Kunkel, Craig Durkee." I go, "You mean The Section?" They go, "Yeah." I went, "Whoa." I mean, we're
That'll
like little
do.
kids in a candy store.
A little
And
intimidating, maybe?
A little bit. But these guys were professionals. They play with everybody. You know, they've been in all the hits in the 70s. And but the great thing about them was that they let us be us. You know, and that's the great thing about these musicians, studio guys, is they play with you. You know, they don't play everything they know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they just play for you.
Yeah.
And they understand what they're doing and how to make hits. And it was just an amazing experience. I just said, man, I got to do this again.
The first three records that you did with Cecilia are kind of widely recognized as being sort of game changers, you know, in the in contemporary Hawaiian music. And I'm wondering, as you were making those records, what artists or bands were influencing you guys? What were you hearing that was kind of going into your music?
Well, I think we both listened to the same artists, and we both liked the same artists. You know, like Eagles, Stevie Wonder, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, James Taylor. So those were our influences, and I think we kind of developed something on our own because we listened to those guys and we liked their styles, and merged all of that into us,
Yeah.
somehow. So.
Was there a moment, in those years in particular, either in the studio or on stage, that kind of best illustrates your partnership at that time? Was there something that stands out in your mind as being, man, this was the perfect performance or recording, or was there something that stands out?
There was. I think the first time we met was the magic.
Uh-huh.
We knew there was something there, and then I think we played in California. We played at the Golden Bear, and yeah.
Ah, the Golden Bear.
It was a great place, and we played there, and it drew a lot of people, and it was all just a great experience. I was so fortunate to be in that place at that time.
And you had a great run, obviously, but then you in the early '80s went out on your own, and have maintained this remarkable solo career. In '81, I think it was your debut record, Kapono, "Stand in the Light."
Right.
Hard for you to do that on your own at that point?
No, it wasn't. It was different.
Yeah.
But I was always writing, and I had this opportunity to do an album by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that opportunity and never looked back.
Yeah.
I always like to move forward, when I do things, and C and I had this long run together. It was a great time, and then for me, I had to kind of like, the thing is, we were having a great time, but everybody was driving the nice cars and had money in their pocket, and we were just getting by.
Mm-hmm.
And I was starting a family, so I said to myself, I need to learn the business. Cecilia and I, our first big concert that we did in the Waikiki Shell, we broke every record. In fact, we still hold a record for the most attendance. And the only reason for that is that after they can only put 10,000 people. So after that, they can't have any more. So we had 10,000 people inside and about 3,000 outside. But that concert was a big success.
Yeah.
And then we got a check the next couple of days later with the people that was investing in us, managing us, and our check was 66 cents.
Oh.
Yeah. And we went, whoa. And they were laughing about it. I go, whoa, what is this? Because, oh, well, we decided to take all this, all their, what they put into it, take it all now. So okay, now we got to really think about what we're doing, So it made, all these different things that happen make you think,
Sure.
If you're not alive or aware of these things, then you're gonna miss everything.
Yeah. Well, certainly, that's one example of many, many, many. About how challenging it is.
It happened a lot
to be, to
and
be
you either learn from it or you beat yourself up with it. So.
Yeah. How looking at your career with Cecilia as a solo artist, how do you think your songwriting has evolved? Have you changed as a songwriter?
I think I had to change.
How so?
Well, C&K had such a loyal following, so to do a solo thing, people really weren't ready for it, So I had to kind of like really massage my way through it and get people to understand that, I'm a songwriter and these are the songs I'm putting out now, and that was a time. But, I love those songs, so I would add them in my show. But I knew that I had to kind of find a whole nother audience.
Yeah.
And so it took a while to just kind of rebuild myself. And then, I'm happy about everything I've done. And playing, I love doing C&K songs. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been doing more of it now than I have in the past because I just feel more comfortable about where I am now,
Speaking of being comfortable or not being comfortable, in 2006, you released an album called Wild Hawaiian,
Right.
which got a fair amount, was somewhat controversial.
It was.
When you released, talk a little bit about the thinking behind that album.
Well, I think I mentioned earlier that people was always asking me about why I wasn't doing a Hawaiian album because I'm Hawaiian. I would always say, well, I'm Hawaiian already. I'm a pure Hawaiian. So one day I had this. I started playing this song called Na'ali'i, which is one of my biggest inspirations in Hawaii was Kuili. He used to do Na'ali'i, and he did it very differently. So I thought, well, if I'm gonna do Hawaiian song, because I don't understand the language, I don't know it that well. Like there's kids, guys that grow up with it, they know it, from their heart, And I'd be fooling everybody if I didn't do it the right way. But I understood it more when I started learning it, playing it. I learned more about the Hawaiian language and about my culture by doing that. But I wanted to do something different, so I did it more of an alternative way because I wanted to reach out to another audience, not just the traditionalists, but more a younger group who probably wouldn't be listening to Hawaiian music, And I think it's from what I've seen that has happened. I get a lot of the younger kids that are going, "Wow, I love this stuff." I go, "Oh, cool." but yeah, so I went with songs that I grew up playing in church.
Yeah.
And I just rearranged it.
Sure.
To fit that more of a rock and alternative rock style.
We always like to take a couple questions from the assembled
Yeah,
throng here. So, do we have a question or two from the house? Oh, everybody gets shy all of a sudden here.
Did you ever play with Iz?
With who?
Israel.
Oh yeah, I did. Israel's a great guy. In fact, we did a video. I did a single back then called "Sonny's Been Waiting." Sonny Kaniho was a friend of mine in L.A. Gave me this article from the Wall Street Journal by Susan C. Faludi, and it was all about how this guy was being mistreated for Hawaiian lands, and that he had signed up for Hawaiian lands in the 50s, and the Department of Hawaiian Lands, and they weren't recognizing him. So he was protesting, and I read this whole article, and I just went, wow, I got to do something and try to help him out. So I wrote this song called "Sonny's Been Waiting," and Sonny Kaniho was an older man who lived in the Big Island. And what he did in this article, was that he found the article that had posted his name on the list in the newspaper. And it was the first list to come out. So it was in the newspaper. He found the article, gave it to them. So they had no choice but to give him the land. But what they did, which wasn't fair, because he was a farmer, usually the farmers will get 100 acres to farm on. Well, they gave him 10 acres, and they put it up in the frost line. It just wasn't fair. He wasn't being treated right.
Yeah.
So that song really kind of turned things around for him, because he was waiting so long for that. Yeah.
Other
thank you.
questions? Yes, right here.
Henry, what instigated or how did it transpire you to create a collaboration with Michael McDonald?
Oh, that was easy. I actually met him. I met him on the Big Island. I was just having a little vacation with my family, and I saw this guy with white hair walking down. I was out on the porch or the patio, and I looked down. And goes, "Wow, that looks like Michael McDonald." So I just went downstairs and introduced myself, and he's the greatest. He's the nicest guy you'll ever meet in the business.
Yeah.
He says, "Oh yeah, I know you. I know you guys." And I go, "Oh wow." He says, "Yeah, join us." He was with a group of people, and we sat there and we had drinks and we talked, and I mean it was just I was going, "Wow, I love this guy." I've always loved his music.
Yeah.
And I was sitting with him. I was a fan.
Yeah, no, sweet guy. So you continue to do a regular gig at Duke's.
Right.
Well,
Right.
what's the best part about going and doing your regular gig?
To do a
Yeah.
regular gig?
Yeah,
Well, it keeps my band playing.
yeah, that's good.
You know,
That's good.
I got to think of my band when we're not touring.
Sure.
How do I keep them motivated?
Yeah.
So I have gigs in Hawaii, and Duke's is one of the best gigs that I have because people from all over the world come there,
Yeah.
and they I've been there 23 years.
Huh.
I was kind of hesitant to do that gig, because I was touring so much. But then I thought about it, went, well, give it a shot. I knew the guy, the owner of Duke's,
Yeah.
and it worked out. He let me go on my tours whenever I wanted to, and then I play there. And
That's great.
So now I just play there as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's there's a tradition in Hawaiian music of kind of passing on the musical knowledge from one generation to the next. And I'm wondering how you are finding it because now you're in a position to do that
Right.
in terms of kind of paying it forward.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that?
Well, you have to be able to see talent, and you have to be able to see whether it's in their heart or it's just something they want to do, and that's a really tricky part because if they just want to play to play, it's almost meaningless. If you play like I like to play because I love the song. I know the song makes me feel good, makes everybody feel good, and that's what it's all about for me. So it's really you got to really have a good ear and just kind of make that connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I was here in February,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I brought a couple younger artists with me, and Johnny Valentine,
Yep.
kind of younger than me, but I had Blaine Singh, who was a Hoku Award winner for Most Promising Artist, and last year he got Single of the Year.
Yeah.
And I brought Alex Kawakami, who is from a group called DNA, Manoa DNA. And I heard those two guys singing one day, and I was singing C&K songs, and they were singing on the side during the harmony. I went, wow, those guys sound good. So it just turned out we were going to do some C&K songs, and I put those guys together with us. Actually, I called Alex Kawakami when I was doing a solo tour to join me at the Coach House.
Yeah.
And he came down and he knocked it out of the park.
Huh.
So I went, maybe we should do the C&K stuff.
Yeah. Not so bad.
So that helped go through that,
Yeah.
do that. And it helped the museum. Thank you for having us here.
Oh, our pleasure. So we do. Many of you probably know. It's been a tradition the last few Grammy weeks. We do a program here. We do an exhibit on the 4th floor, focused around some portion of Hawaiian music. And this past February, we did something around the Hawaiian Renaissance.
Right.
And we always have a program here during Grammy Week that's referred to as Melly May in L.A.
Right.
And Henry was kind enough to come and bring Johnny Valentine and the whole band and play. We had a bunch of other Hawaiian artists. It's a terrific evening.
It was a
I
great
gotta say.
evening.
Yeah,
It was a
it's
great
really
evening.
really fun. So
Thank you very much.
Yep, our pleasure. Last question. So as I said, you've been nominated for a Grammy. You received a number of Nahoku Hanu awards, and I'm wondering what does that kind of recognition mean to you?
Oh, it just means I'm doing something right, and it means that I can continue what I'm doing. It's just, I guess feel proud of the fact that I've accomplished something.
Sure.
I guess it's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
But what's more important to me is that I can continue to do my music. And that's just kind of like a milestone for me, so that I can go off to the next point.
Sure. Well, I can't tell you how pleased we are that you took the time to stop by again and have a chat. More importantly, I know these folks and myself would like to hear you play and sing. So,
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Ladies and gentlemen, Henry Kapono. Thank you, Henry.
Well, thank you for all the wonderful years. I always do this. I always go look at the engineer. Goes, "What's going on?" Plug it in. All is fair in love. Love's a crazy game. Two people vow to stay, and lovers one day say, but all this changed with time. The future none can see, the road you leave behind. Ahead lies a mystery, but all is fair in love. I had to go away. Writer takes his pen to write the words again, that all in love is fair. And all this change with time. The future none can see, the road you leave behind. Ahead lies mystery, and all is fair in love. I had to go away. A writer takes his pen to write the words again, that all in love is fair. takes his pen to write the words again, that all in love is fair. Thank you very much. All that talking, oh man. Thank you very much. There we go. I want to say hi to a whole bunch of friends, all of you. I want to thank Scott Goldman. Thank you very much. And I got some friends here. Aiden James is here, and I want to say hey to a great talented young guy, Taylor McCall. And say hey to Lee Coleman, also Neil Everett. There we go. Thank you. So this song goes out to all of you. Thank you very much. It's so nice to see familiar faces out in the crowd. It's so nice to see friends of mine enjoying themselves. And everybody get happy. We can work it out. We are friends. Friends, friends. We are friends. Friends, friends. And I remember when I was down and out, you came. I remember when you said, friend, hey, what's your name? And getting off on each other, we can work it out, everybody. We are friends, friends, friends. We are friends. Friends, friends. When feelings are getting strong and you feel like you belong, a closeness you can feel, and smiles that are real. We are friends. And if you feel like singing with me, sing out loud. 'Cause it'll make you feel good just to sing right out. And be a part of it all. 'Cause we can work it out, everybody. We are friends. Friends, friends. We are friends. Friends, friends. We are friends, everybody's friends. Friends, friends. We are friends, whoa, whoa, friends, friends. We are friends. Friends, friends. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's something I wrote. I wrote for a group called Island Band when I was away. I think I was driving in Colorado, going to Montana, and I was supposed to produce these guys. So I wrote the song before I came home and introduced it to them, and they did such a great job with it. And then Brothers Kaz heard it, and they picked it up and did a really great job, I think. So for the longest time, I didn't play it because they were doing so good with it. So I decided to do it one day. The road goes far away from home, and I get lonely, missing you only. And I'm away, and it's a sunny day. It's not quite the same as the ocean blue. Home in the islands. Home in the islands. Home in the middle of the sea. I'm a happy man in an island band, living the life of a gypsy musician. In his heart of my head, when the lady of my heart is miles and miles and miles away, yeah. And home in the islands, and home in the islands, and home in the middle of the sea. There's no other place that I'd rather be than home in the islands, in the middle of the sea. Keeping real close to my family and friends, and taking it easy in the tropical breezes. And home in the islands, 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 home. In the middle of the sea. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, I do this all the time, but this is actually one of the first times I've been so nervous. I don't know why, but oh well. This is a song I did on my Wild Hawaiian CD. This is a song that comes from the Big Island. It's about two lovers who are madly in love with each other and forbidden to be together by their parents, who are the kings and queens of different villages and at war with each other. So to prove their eternal love for each other, they went to the top of the cliffs in Waipio Valley and were never seen again. The two waterfalls that cascade into a pond empties out into the ocean. It is said that these waterfalls represent their eternal love for each other. The waterfalls are called Hi'ilave. Makakai kenaya Hi'ilave, Kupapalohi maia o maukele. Kumakakai kenaya ilabe. Kupapalohi maia o maukele. Pakele mahua witanui manu. Kabalaone kuni waipio. Ole no baue lua mai. Ahi uhi vai no te tuaibi. E hiva o na tamatua. Ahi le iai na te tupuna. No puna ke ala la ia mai. No I ka vai lelea o I lave. Hai na ia mai na kapuana. Kumaka kai ke na ya o I lave. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I've been writing. Let's say hi to John Houlihan. He helped me produce a few songs for me. Thanks so much for being here, John. But this is another song that I just wrote not too long ago. I started thinking about the fact that I've been doing this for a long time. And I've been having a great time doing it. And I've been meeting a lot of people. I've been to a lot of places all over the world. And it just makes me feel good to see people people having fun. And I get to be a part of it. And it's like a long train I call it a long train running, because this train has been running for a long time. And it's running strong. And I get to stop everywhere and meet people, meet new people, and play my music for them. So this is a song called Long Train Running. Travel around the world with my guitar and my songs. And people keep on telling me, boy, keep on keeping on. Loving every minute, loving what I do. One day I'll stop by my friends and play my songs for you. 'Cause I'm on a long train. I'm on a long train running. I'm on a long train. I'm on a long train running. I made a lot of friends everywhere I go, playing that guitar music, singing it from my soul, loving every minute, loving what I do. 'Cause one day I'll stop by my friends and play my songs for you. 'Cause I'm on a long train, I'm on a long train running. I'm on a long train, I'm on a long train running. I love seeing people happy as can be, dancing and singing right along with me, loving every minute, loving what I do. One day I'll stop by my friends and play my songs for you. 'Cause I'm on a long train, I'm on a long train running. I'm on a long train, I'm on a long train running. I'm on a long train, I'm on a long train running. I'm on a long train, I'm on a long train running. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to this song I wrote for my dad. My dad never sailed in his life. I never called him Jackson. He's always been the captain of the ship. You play your harp? Yeah. You want to come up and play? Yeah. Yeah. Is there Michael? Is there another mic? I'd like to bring a friend of mine up, Bert. Bert coached my daughters in volleyball. And he happens to play a harp. What key do you have? So I was wanting to write a song for my dad. My dad just really was a big inspiration in my life. And one day he was smoking a cigarette, and I said, Dad, why are you smoking a cigarette? And he says, well, son, I smoke a cigarette for company. So I didn't understand what that meant at the time. But then one day I went sailing, and I realized it all came to me. And I started thinking about my dad and all the things that he taught me. My dad would always say that he was a jack of all trades, a master of none. But to me, he was the master of the jack of all trades. Because he knew just so much and taught me so much. So, thanks, Dad. All right. He's captain of a small ship. And he called her the queen. And Jackson was an old man, the skipper of the sea. And he dreams about one day an island he'll find. Got lost in the ocean, just passing in time, and he'd rather be sailing and sailing away, and he'd rather be sailing and sailing away, and he'd rather be sailing. And he's been to places, and he knows them quite well. But those are just traces of stories to tell. And he loves his lady, and his whiskey is sweet. The sailing's his first love. It keeps us so free, and he'd rather be sailing and sailing away, and he'd rather be sailing and sailing away, and he'd rather be sailing. And he goes where the wind blows, and he flows with the tide. He's just going nowhere, just going for the ride, with a cigarette for company and a shot for a good time, and a sunset to follow into the night, and he'd rather be sailing and sailing away, and he'd rather be sailing, yes he would, sailing away, and he'd rather be sailing away. Bert, big hand for Bert. Then. Thank you, everybody. I love you guys. Thank you.
Henry Kapono, come on. Come on, one more time. Henry Kapono.